Right. Well, good. Well, welcome everyone. So glad that you are here. Welcome back to day three of the Profitable Leads Masterclass, where we've been talking this week about how to fill, nurture, and convert leads faster in today's market. Except you're like, Lissa, you haven't taught us yet how to fill our pipeline. You're right. That's what we're doing today. Because it was really important that we talked about the converting and the nurturing part on day one and day two first, because otherwise you can do the things I'm going to teach you today, and they're not going to give the kind of results that you would want if you don't have those other things in place, right? And how can we attract new leads consistently without wasting time, money, posting more on social? Kathy, I know this is something you've been talking about. Like, I don't want to sell my soul to social. How many of us feel the same way, right? Like, it's just sometimes there's so much time that we feel like we're pouring out into something like that that's not producing the results. Right now, I'm not here to say that you can't do social or don't have to do social. But how about if we make social optional? How would that sound? If social was like the extra thing, it was kind of like the afterthought or the like, I can do this, but I don't have to, and I don't feel like I have to be constantly in there. I talk to so many business owners, busyness owners, who have this love-hate relationship with social, right? Who feel like anybody else feel like I just have to feed the machine. I guess this is what I have to do if I'm an online business. I just have to keep showing up and hoping that maybe one day it eventually does something. As a scaling strategist, I have to ask you, are you seeing a return on time invested with the time you're spending? Right? Are you seeing a return on time invested? And there, I mean, there is something to what you're sharing and all of that. But even on a good day, you could have the most amazing post, the most like compelling video, and an algorithm decides who gets to see it. 1 to 3% of your followers even get shown it, let alone do they actually pay attention. I just got off the book club, CEO Edge Book Club. Christy, I did make you co-host, so if you're able to let people in, that would be great. Thank you. We were talking about The Ruthless Elimination of Hurry by John Mark Comer. If you guys jump into CEO Focus, you get to join us for CEO Edge Book Club. And it's just like partial attention is our new normal, right? Like even for those of us who are trying to not be so addicted or compelled to pick up a phone or to always be busy and things like that, it's like we're half in the room, half not in the room. So again, so many people are spending so much time doing things that aren't producing results. And so today we're going to talk about how the top 1%, because 99% of people are missing this, are attracting new leads consistently, the right ones. Okay. We're not talking about people who aren't a right fit for what you have to offer. And sometimes there's a process of figuring that out. Like, how do we start attracting new leads consistently and like with some volume? So it's not just one at a time. Okay. So today we're going to be talking about the four power level levers. I call them the leads levers that you can pull to attract more of the clientele that need, want, and can afford what you have to offer. Because there's a difference, right? Who wants to attract that type of leads? Drop leads in the chat if you're with me and you're like, yes, I want to be able to do this. Okay. And if you're dropping leads, then right now I want your pinkies up. Okay. Pinky swear. You're not going to do anything I teach you today until you have your Hello to Let's Go schedule system and strategy set up. Because otherwise, it's just going to be more wasted time and money. Okay. So the replays are on the podcast audio feed. I reached out to everybody yesterday because I can see on the back end if you've been able to get in and get access and if you actually listen to stuff. Not that I'm like trying to stalk you or anything, but that just helps me to follow up. So that this is a really great strategy. If you have a business, you don't know for sure who's watching your YouTube unless they comment. I can see who's gotten access. So if you haven't gotten access yet, let me wake my phone up. You should have an email from me. That's, of course, I don't. Let's see if I have it. There it is. Okay. Wrong one. It was at the top a minute ago. It should look something like this. It says your audio access profitable leads. You need to open this on your phone and then just scroll down to where it says start listening, and it will prompt you to choose what platform you want to be on. If for some reason you're having a hard time finding this, send me like either drop something here in the chat or better yet, send me a message wherever we're connecting because I have like a private link that I can send you from the back end for your feed. But you should have an email from me that says your audio access. All you do is click that button and it should take you right there. Okay. Also, if you did not join us yesterday, I gave a live only bonus of the Profitable Leads playbook. So let me drop the link over here, and then Christy, you'll have that to drop that in as people go because we worked through it yesterday. Now I got to figure out where I put mine. Oh, here it is. Nope, that's not it. Here it is. We worked through it yesterday when we were talking about the different types of leads, hot, warm, cold. I gave you some templates to start thinking about what do we say to people in different places. And then today we're going to be talking about the last page, which is the leads levers. If you don't have this, it's fine. You can just grab a piece of paper or the notes app on your phone. That works too. But before we move on, quick recap in case you're just joining us. Day one, we talked about how the top 1% convert leads faster in today's market. Guess what? They are not just depending on automation. They're actually making connections. And I taught you how to do something very simple called a hello again message, right? Hello again is just a really easy way to like re-engage with people that are already in your world. And then day two, yesterday, we talked about how the top 1% monetize leads daily, how they're making daily sales their norm because they're taking the initiative to build a relationship and to continue a conversation because they've taken the time to organize, categorize, and prioritize their hello to let's go list. And I've even talked to some of you guys since yesterday where you're like, oh my goodness, I wasn't thinking about this person. This is somebody I need to follow up with. This person actually told me they wanted what I have to offer and I haven't followed up with them. Don't feel bad. Okay. Don't worry about it. That was yesterday. Starting today, when those people come across your radar, right, we're going to put them right into your hello to let's go system. So I would love to open it up before we dive in today to any ahas that you want to share from day one or day two, whether you were on live, whether you watched the replay, doesn't matter. A result maybe that you're seeing. Sometimes the results are the shifts that happen up here or here, right? We talked a lot about stewardship and how doing what we're talking about this week is just good stewardship. Or maybe you've actually gotten a result. Maybe you've gotten a response. Maybe you've got a yes. Maybe you've got, like somebody back on, your radar that had kind of dropped off the radar for a little bit. So if maybe like one, two, three people at most want to raise your hand, unmute, and just share what has been helpful for you. What's an aha or a roadie that you have seen? I would love to hear. Go ahead, Mickey. You should be able to unmute yourself.
Okay. Hi, everyone. I was trying to get on my computer and I couldn't find the link for the computer, so I'm on my phone, but
Okay.
I'm here. And I was able to attend most of yesterday, and I started listening to a little bit of day one. And I definitely realized that I have people on my list that I have not engaged with in a really, connecting way. And so I downloaded a list from people who are on my Thinkific is what I use for my
Mm.
courses. And I have quite a few people that are on there, whether they've taken courses or just kind of signed up to get on the list or whatever. And so anyway, they're all in my world. So I've downloaded the list, segmented it by last used. And so if they've been on there in the last year for this year, 2025, took that and made a separate list. And then I started reaching out to some. So it's like I didn't have a lot of time, but it's like I reached out to, I think about four so far.
Yay. That's
Yeah.
fantastic. So good.
Yeah.
Remember those hot leads are the people
Yeah.
who have invested already in some way, shape, or form. So they're
Right.
much more likely to be like, oh yeah, Mickey, yeah, I need you in my world. I really need what you're teaching me.
Right.
Whatever. So I love that. I love it. Good.
Yeah.
Something else. An aha or a win that you want to share, we would love to hear. Donita says, I've had a few conversations getting leads in my phone contacts. Good. I love it. Right? We have to, as both business owners, we have to pick up the ball. We take the initiative to either get the conversation going or to, like restart the conversation if it's kind of that ball got dropped. We don't leave it, yeah, just up to chance or hoping that somebody is going to do that. Somebody else want to unmute and share
I
a
share.
aha or win? Yeah, go ahead, Carol.
Yeah, so I mentioned about the woman who said that she felt she needed my help. Well, she responded to my weekly email because we've got a common link around decluttering and home organization. And so I messaged her back just to, as a response to her response, to just say, basically, I understand what she's going through. And, if she wants help with reducing the mental clutter, as well as the physical clutter, then just reach out, just let me know. I just left it at that. So she's replied back saying she definitely feels she needs help with the mental clutter. So my next step will be to send her a link for a discovery call. So I wasn't sure whether to send it or not, if that was going to be too pushy. But now she said she wants the help, then I'll send the link for the to have a call, and then the next step would be for her to book it,
Yes.
hopefully, or see what happens. But yeah,
Yes, for sure. If she said, yes, I need this, then yes, the best way we can steward that relationship is to, like offer up whatever that next thing is. So I love that. And you're already thinking, like, what is that next thing? And this is something that we will talk about when we do the workshop next week. For those of you who jump into CEO Focus, you get to come to this 2 hour just us sitting down and actually building these things out. And one of the things we're going to think through and start thinking through is what are the steps? What are the things that you can offer someone, right? And what are the things you can do in between times when somebody's not ready for something right away, but it's still a way that you can add value. It's still a way that you can show, connection and concern. It's not just, hey, are you ready? Are you ready now? Are you ready now? Are you ready now? Like that's annoying. They're probably going to be like, eh.
yeah,
They're going to tell you no, and then they're off your list, right? But we want to do it in a way where we're like adding value. Like it's not about whether or not they say yes. Like they've shared some need, right? And so we're thinking about what's the next best step for them if they're not ready for an offer type thing. So I love that. Danielle says I reached out to 2 people that I've actually had conversations with in the past, but who weren't ready yet to move forward and started building out the system for follow-up. Love it. Lorian just did a networking event, working on contacting back leads as a priority. Yes, but still going forward, reached out to more people on my already have list. I love it. We talked about this yesterday, you guys. Here is where, like, we're going to let go of any shoulda, woulda, coulda guilt. I should have been doing this. Yes, you should have been doing this 6 months or a year ago, but you can't change that now. Okay. So we're starting today. So anybody new who comes in your world, now you know where you're going to put them, right? You're going to send that initial welcome message. I gave you an example of that in your playbook. And now you're going to start this process with them. And then you're just going to like continue to set aside time. We'll talk about this again next week on our workshop to start going back into those other places, like what Mickey shared she did. She went back into her back end, right? Somebody else shared going into their phone contacts. Maybe you're going into your community or into, wherever that place is and starting to bring people over into that place. So it's okay. We'll kind of catch up with some of those, people and things like that. But moving forward, now you know exactly what to do with them, right? So I love it. I love it. So good. So good. I'm so excited, you guys. And here's the thing. Like, even if you don't have like, money in the bank yet because somebody is, said yes to what you have to offer, you have just made a deposit in that relationship, right? And in the value that you have to provide, right? And so we know that in the kingdom, nothing is wasted. And this person may or may not ever come into your world, and that's okay, right? I had a conversation with somebody yesterday who was like, thank you for not pushing the sale or pushing me into something that I'm not ready for. Because she very clearly was like, I don't think now is the time. And I affirmed that decision. But guess what? I will continue to connect with her over time, right? And if and when the time is right, then, there'll be that opportunity for that to happen. But, so like this is the process we do because we care about people, right? We're not just caring about numbers and things like that. So because I want to start with this next reminder that stewardship is connecting and following up and inviting and offering, right, to the right fit clients at the right time. Like this is good stewardship. And this is how we are using what God has already given us to make a difference. And so I just want to pray over that and over any like untrue beliefs that we're coming in with or any stress or pressure or guilt that we're feeling. And then we will dive into today. Okay. Lord, we just thank you for just your faithfulness with us. God, we confess we are not faithful. We are so inconsistent. We are so easily distracted in our relationship with you, in the work that we do, in how even just the things that we do to care for our home and our environment and our bodies and all of that. And yet, God, you are faithful. And so I just pray that you'll help us to see this gift that you've given us, this business that you've called us to, the time that you've entrusted to us, and the people, the leads that you have already brought into our world, as well as those that you are going to in the future. God, may we be good stewards and faithful stewards of what you have entrusted to us and trust you for the results as we do our part. And so, God, I just pray your blessing over everyone who's listening to this today, whether on live or the replay or even down the road. God, I pray that we would hear what you need to say to us and that we would be willing to, to take action and to move forward with what you're calling us to do. And we trust all the results into your hands in your timing. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. Amen.
yeah.
All right. Well, I'm going to let me just make sure that check one more thing. Christy, can you make sure everybody's muted just so that way we, as people coming in and stuff like that, we've got that. I'm going to start off with a story about what not to do. Because the worst thing you could do is not do what we talked about the last 2 days and try and jump into what we're talking about today and have it just kind of all fall apart. And so as I was reflecting back on my own business journey, I thought of a time, which was not all that long ago, to be completely honest, when I tried to scale without having a solid framework in place. Okay. And so here's the story. Just over a year ago, my coach, the coach that I work with, hosted an incredible conference for 100 women down in Florida. I remember sitting there, like being so inspired, being in the room, right, with all these people thinking, yes, I want to do this, right? And she was like, yes, Lisa, like I can see you doing this. I'm willing to share all my secrets and all my back end stuff. And like, I was like, all right, let's go, right? Lisa jumps in. So that's what I did. I did what Lisa does. I jumped in with both feet and I booked the venue. And I lined up my speakers and I created the website and I started selling tickets. There are a few of you here who bought tickets, right? I was doing all the things to make this thing happen. And all during all this time, there was this little voice in the back of my head whispering, maybe it's not time yet. But I ignored it, because sometimes we have those voices that are just fear, right? Or the enemy trying to keep us from something, or just, something feels uncomfortable. So, yeah, because this is not what Lissa does, right? Lissa commits and she follows through and she puts her blinders on and she does what it takes to make it happen. But the truth was, it was actually really taking a toll on me, right? Because I was already running my business, working on bringing in clients, working on helping them get results, right? The two things we should be doing, sales and service. And now I have this huge project on top of it. And yes, I had a team at the time, but I already was using them to their capacity. So a lot of it was coming back on me. And I'll never forget, I was sitting at another women's conference so this is about 6 months into the process or so. And I just remember sitting there being completely exhausted, physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually. I can hardly remember what they were talking about because all I could think of as I'm looking around is like, can I pull something like this off? And I don't even know how I got myself home because I was so tired and I was the one who drove us up there. When I got home, I went right back to work because that's what I do, because I had things to do to make this thing happen. But finally, it was like I kept pushing and I had no choice but to stop and listen to that still small voice that maybe it's not time for this. And the irony of the whole thing is the event that I was going to host was going to be called the It's Time Conference. And it wasn't time, right? And God made it clear it wasn't time. And as much as I wanted to push through and make it happen, I knew that I didn't have some frameworks in place to sustain that level of work, right? I didn't have some frameworks in place to support that vision yet. So I had to do the hard thing. I had to lay it down. I had to go back to my speakers and say, I'm sorry, this isn't going to be happening. I had to go back to those first few ticket buyers and refund their money and tell them it wasn't happening, at least not yet. And it was really humbling. And it's even really humbling telling you the story right now, but it was also freeing. Because what I learned through that experience was I saw somebody else doing something. I saw all the shiny fruit. And that wasn't that there was anything bad about it. And I knew this was something I'd wanted to do for a while. And I just wanted to jump right in to making it happen. Right. But you're welcome. But I needed to have the framework in place. Right. I needed to pay attention to where I was currently so that I would have this strong foundation, right? And then I could layer on this next thing and it wasn't going to make all of this fall apart, right? And so now I know that I know that I know when it is time, and it will be time, like it is going to happen. It may not be 100 people. I might start with like 20, 25. I just went to one this last weekend that was like 25 people. Like I'll be ready. And that conference is going to be even more fruitful because it will come from a place of capacity and confidence, not Lissa stressing and striving. And I can't wait. I hope many of you are there when this happens. So, why am I telling you this? Because in business, especially when we have this thing and we can see everybody else's highlight reel and their stories, and it looks like they're doing amazing things, it's really easy to look around at what everybody else is doing and think, I need to do that too, right? Because we think that this is the next big thing, right? And it's not that it's a bad thing or it may not be for later, but if we don't have the solid framework before we start scaling, then we won't be able to sustain the fruitfulness. Okay, and I'll be talking today about how do you know when it's time to do that. Okay, but if you're just joining me, because I know that I've seen some new faces coming in that have been signing up and coming to these. I'm Lissa. I'm a scaling and stewardship strategist, and I want to help you scale your reach, revenue, and results, but not until you have the right foundation. You have your roots down, right? You have a framework with the schedules, the systems, and the strategies, because otherwise you will be wasting your time and money. And so I'm willing to take the time with you to build the foundation, to give you the tools so you don't have to go search the internet and hope that this is going to work and then experience what I experienced, right? You're welcome. I'll make the mistakes, for you and then kind of help shorten your learning curve. Anybody like that, right? Because I do believe that God has called us to fruitfulness in our business. Like that is actually my word for this year is fruitfulness. And so as I've been reading through scripture for all of 2025, I challenge you to do this. Like you can don't have to wait till 2026. You can start doing this right now. Pick a word or a theme or something that you really just like God keeps bringing to mind or keeps showing you or you just really want to like pay more attention to. For me, it was fruitfulness and anything related to that. Do you know how many times in scripture it talks about fruit, fruitfulness, roots, branches, leaves? Like anything related to some kind of a plant that yields some kind of a fruit. It's like all over the place from Genesis all the way to Revelation, right? And what I really saw is that like God does, like fruitfulness is a reflection of what's going on in here. Fruitfulness is what happens when we seek Him first. Fruitfulness is what happens when we're firmly planted. Fruitfulness is what happens when we're abiding in Him. So sorry, not sorry. If you hang around with me, you're going to get some Bible, you're going to get some Jesus, and you're going to get some look at what God did. Because we are celebrating our fruit. One of the things we do in our weekly accountability meetings is we share our CEO praise reports. What is God doing? And here's the thing fruitfulness is contagious. Fruitfulness is contagious. That's why we want to have the right tools and be in the right room and be basing all of this in truth, right? And learning from the right people. Which is why I'm so excited that some of you have jumped into CEO Focus. Some of you have been in for a while, some of you recently jumped in, some of you are still kind of figuring out, is this where I need to be? Right? What we're doing is we're coming together and putting all those things together and saying, I'm not going to run around in hamster wheel circles, chasing all the things that I see everyone else around me doing. I'm going to like get crystal clear on what is my one thing focus to build my foundation. Like I've been saying all week, if you do not have a dialed in Hello to Let's Go system that is producing results, this is where you start. Okay, then we're going to growth map you step by step from where you are to where you want to be. We're going to create this 12-week roadmap. So it's not overwhelming. It's not like, oh, I don't know how I'm going to do all this. Like, okay. And then we're going to walk it out side by side. Right. And so Christy just dropped the link in there. Thank you, Christy, for reading my mind. I do still have a couple of those extra bonus one-on-one strategy sessions for anyone who joins us while we're on today. Okay. Because what we're going to do is we're going to take 60 minutes, just you and me, and we're going to look at your audience. And we're going to look at where people have interacted with you or worked with you and pull them from all those different places and figure out how to organize and categorize and prioritize them. And then how to start reaching out consistently, even what to say, right? Because I know that this is what so many business owners are missing. I've talked to many of you who said, like, I have this amazing program. I'm spending all this time working on building this thing, but I'm not seeing the sales. I'm not actually able to serve people with it. We want to fix that gap. We want to fill that gap, right? And I will be willing to hang on as long as we need to afterwards today to answer questions about like how this could work for you and things like that. But today, I want to give you some scaling strategies to help you scale your reach. Who wants to be filling your pipeline faster with the right fit leads? Say me in the chat. Okay, but again, I want you to remember not until you're committed to actually implementing what we talked about in day one and day two. Because so often we come in, yay, lots of me's, thinking, I need more leads. This is what's going to fix my sales problem. But really, remember, you already have a gold mine. That's why my goal is to help you focus on the framework for growth, right? The Hello to Let's Go schedule system strategy. Then we can scale things up from there. Okay. And what if, right? We got this built out before the end of the year and got it working for you. So that way you're not waiting till January 1st. Because again, what happens in business in almost any area of our life is our results are about 90 to 120 days behind us, right? What you do today is going to set you up for January. But if you wait till January, now you're waiting till like April to actually see results. And today I want to be talking about two phases of business. Okay, write these down. You are either in the rooted phase or the fruitful phase. Okay, you are either in the rooted phase, ROOTED, or the fruitful phase. And here's the thing. The rooted phase has to come before the fruitful phase. Have you ever seen a tree that like got knocked over in a storm? And then you're like, wow, it looked like a really big tree. It looked like it was really healthy. And then you can see the root system and you can see exactly why that thing got knocked over because the roots weren't down in strong to be able to withstand whatever forces were hitting up against us. How many of us just want to jump to fruitful? I just want the fruitful part, God. Give me the fruitful part, right? Yeah, we all want to jump right to that part. And there's a beauty to that as long as we have the roots, right? That are, and we've got this trellis now that we're building like up, right? So that way we can sustain the fruit. And again, as I was reading, thinking of this word, I came across this verse in 2 Corinthians 19:30. not Second Corinthians, Second Kings 19:30. Second Kings 19:30, which says, "The surviving remnant of the house of Judah shall again take root downward and bear fruit upward." You hear both of those in there? But notice it didn't say the surviving house of Judah will bear fruit upward and then take root downward, right? It's the root downward first, and then it can sustain and bear the fruit upward, right? So growth is about putting down roots so you can start growing up. And when you are in the rooted phase of business, it doesn't necessarily have to coincide with a certain amount that you're making, but a lot of times it's like, okay, I'm working up towards like having consistent 5K, 10K months, right? A lot of it is just kind of slow growth, right? Maybe it's like one person a day is coming into your leads. You're making one sale a day. And that's great. I just actually interviewed Danielle, who's on here today, and she like has been talking about like her process. And so often she and I have had this conversation. I want to jump to the huge fruitfulness part. But she's like, right now, this is where I am. And so this is where I have to be faithful and tending so that I can grow to that place, right? So we start off with a handful of clients. And that's a good place to start because how many of you, let me ask you this question. I asked this on a workshop we did a couple weeks ago, and it was really impactful. If suddenly tonight you had 100 new clients come into your business, what would break? Could you sustain that? I mean, how many of us would love 100 new clients, right? Or our calendar booked out or whatever it is that you do, right? Like our warehouse empty of whatever the product is that you sell or whatever. Like we would love that. But for many of us, you couldn't handle that many all at once, right? Because you don't have the framework, right? So what we want to do with the rooted phase is we want to build the framework so we can move to the fruitful phase, which is where we start going beyond that, right? We start doing one to many. We start using some of the scaling strategies we'll talk about today. We start seeing growth faster. It's not just one sale a day, it's multiple sales a day, right? But it doesn't work if you don't have the schedule, systems, and strategy framework in place first. You may look like a shooting star. How many of you have seen this? Somebody looked like a shooting star and they went really fast and far, so it looked. But then what happened? Right? It didn't sustain, right? It's like that vine that's not ready for a big bunch of grapes. It's like I was earlier this year with the conference that I thought I was going to put on for 100 people. And again, could I have made it happen? Probably, but it wouldn't have been healthy and it would have taken a lot of time and attention away from some other things that I know needed it. So, do you understand the difference between rooted and fruitful? And are you seeing how it's really important that we have the rooted part solid first, and then we can start layering on these things? Okay. So again, you came in here thinking you have a leads problem. Showed you yesterday, you don't have a leads problem because you have leads, even if it's only 20, but guaranteed everyone listening to me has more than 20 if you did what I told you to do, or we added it up from those 3 different places yesterday. But you will have a leads problem if you do what we're doing today and you don't have a follow-up system. So today we're going to be talking about these lead scaling strategies, as long as you've already done, we've already talked about, okay? Because I'm not here to waste your time and money, right? And so often that business owners will have all these people coming in, right? People opting into your freebie, people registering for your event, people even leaving comments or things like that. And it just goes to your newsfeed or email list to die because people are distracted, right? So the things we're talking about today are only going to be effective if you have a hello to let's go process in place. If not, we're going to start there. Okay. And think about it. Like we kind of talked about this the other day. People are like not quite as quick, right, to pull the trigger on things, especially if what you have to offer is a higher ticket. Like if you're offering a 5K program or even a $500 offer, and even sometimes these days a $50 offer, do you think that somebody might need to trust you a little bit before they hand over, some of their time or money? Right? This is why this is good stewardship for us to really develop these relationships and to build trust with genuine connection. And it doesn't have to take a long time. Okay. It doesn't have to be like, okay, this person needs 20 connection points, Lissa said, before I can actually offer them something. No. When it's the right time, you can make that offer, that invitation or whatever that is, right? But we don't know that unless we are actually engaging with people. And so that's why we don't want to be like people who are going out there chasing all the shiny objects, investing hundreds or thousands of dollars on ads or funnels. And guess what? They're not teaching you the next step, how to actually do something with the people that it brings in. What good is driving a bunch of people to your email list or to your masterclass who don't buy right away and then they just sit in your email list till they're ready and they are part of the 70% that doesn't even open your email? and then they forget about you and they're on to the next thing and they go buy from somebody else, right? Would I love for all of you to jump into CEO Focus today? Yes. But it's okay if you don't. And guaranteed, you will hear from me until you say yes, right? Or until you say, don't ever contact me again, or one of us dies or goes out of business, because that's stewardship. That's serving you because you raised your hand. Something brought you here, right? And so I am not here to force anything on anybody, but I am going to offer support and resources if they are a right fit, because that's actually what's making it about you, not about me. I had a great conversation with somebody yesterday after being together who was like, I don't like talking about myself. I was like, good, because this is actually all about talking about them, what they need, what they want, what their goals are, what their dreams are, what God has called them to, right? And you're just offering the solution to help them get there, right? That's where this becomes about stewardship more than it is just like sales and things like that, right? And so this is why we want to make sure that we are building all this back end stuff so that we're not wasting our time and money on shiny objects, or squirrels, right? But once you do have these things in place, then yes, we can go build the funnels. We can go do the ads. We can go be part of the events and things like that because it's going to have some place to go. Okay. And so that is why when we build out your Hello to Let's Go framework, right, in less than 12 weeks, you can start using the scaling strategies that we're talking about today, right? But this isn't for everybody. It's not for somebody who wants the easy button, who just wants to set it and forget it, who wants the automations that are just going to expect sales while you sleep, right? This is for people who really know they're called to business. They've got a mission and a message, and they want to get that out to more people. Does this mean you have to be, serving 100 clients? No, maybe for you, it's like, I really feel called to serve 10. Amazing. Let's do that, right? Let's see the fruit that God wants to produce through that. Let's make an impact right where you are, right? And then we can see what God has as we continue to grow, right? This is for people who are like not afraid to take action. We're not stuck in overthinking, or with a good gentle nudge or kick in the pants, you're willing to get moving, right? Because you believe in what you're called to do, right? And you're not afraid to invest and you're not afraid to do the work or hire or whatever. Like, and if it doesn't go perfectly, it's okay because you've got support, right? And that's what I want you to really hear is that when we have the support, now we can have the fruit, right? But if we don't have this support going on over here, we're not going to have the fruitfulness, right? Which is why this process is so, so important. So, okay, as we are talking about this, I just want to share. I kind of like to go back and like see what are other people saying about having some of these things in place. So I always ask my clients different questions, right? One of them, as I asked her about this 12-week growth mapping process, I'm like, tell me what you love about it. Here's what she said. I love, love, love. She's the one who said love 3 times. I love, love, love the 12-week growth mapping. It keeps me focused on the day to day and helps me keep my eye on the bigger picture. How many of us feel like I'm just like one foot in front of the other, right? In the day to day, in the weeds of what I have to get done, tyranny of the urgent. And then we look up and we're like, why am I not any closer to where I wanted to go? Or I don't even know where I was trying to go. And she goes on to say, it has literally changed how I plan and use my time, and I've been 100% more productive. Who wants to be more productive? 100% more productive, right? The initial planning time definitely gives me a valuable roadie and saves me so much time in the long run. Yes, she said I may need to make adjustments along the way, but it's way easier than revamping an entire 12-week plan. And she's seen so much more progress over a shorter amount of time. All right. So if you are not already joining us and that's something that interests you, Christy will drop that link in there again. Go check it out. Right. And then next week, we're going to be getting together for 2 hours where we're going to really start mapping all this out and start building this out. Okay. So let's assume we've got these things we've been talking about this week in place. And now we're ready to start bringing in more leads. Okay. So I want to hear from you guys in the chat. What is the main way that you have generated leads up until today? Okay. Drop that in the chat. What is the main way that you have generated leads, that you've connected with people that are potential right fit buyers or clients or customers up until today? Referrals, good. Networking events, word of mouth, love it. Website, freebie summits, okay. Lots of good ideas. Reaching out, building relationships, word of mouth. I love it. Love it. There are a lot of different ways that we can do this. And there are a couple of different ways, like some ways we do it, it's very much like one at a time, one conversation at a time, one person at a time. And those are great things. This is how we start growing, right? Because again, if you've got 1,000 leads tonight and you don't have these things in place, they're not going to go anywhere and then people are going to get lost. Webinars, reaching out, recommendations, bundles. I love these. Okay, so many good things in here, right? Now, we want to be doing, here's what I always teach my CEOs. Pay attention to the roadie. the return on time invested. How many of us have been doing things that we think should be bringing in leads, but they're not, right? So as CEOs, we don't want to just keep doing the same thing, expecting different result, right? We talked about that the other day. It's insanity. We actually want to pause and we want to say, okay, is this producing a good RODI, return on time invested? If not, thank you, RODI is return on time invested. Then get curious. Why? First of all, it may just be because you haven't been doing it like with enough consistency and frequency. So then, okay, maybe that's what it is, right? But maybe I'm doing it on a platform that I don't own, and so only a small amount of people are seeing it. Or maybe I'm doing it in a place where it's very crowded, noisy, and so people just aren't noticing. So like we want to get curious around those things. If it's working, if it's actually bringing in right fit leads, then yes, keep doing it. That would be a great thing to keep doing. But if it's not, we always want to get curious because we don't want to keep spending time doing something that's not producing some kind of result, right? And so what we're going to be talking about today then is like how can I layer on some more strategies that will bring in more people at one time versus just one at a time. Like those referrals are probably one at a time, right? Word of mouth is probably going to be more one at a time. And those are great things to do. Again, like we talked about yesterday, those are people who are already warmed up, right? Because there was already, even though they don't have trust in you yet, they had a trust in whoever referred them or whoever had shared with them about what you were doing. So that is a good thing, right? But like again, as we start growing and wanting to expand our impact, right, we're going to need to say, how can I pull some levers that are going to bring in more people faster if we have something on the back end to convert them? Okay. So, do you want to know what I do with every single lead that comes in via these four levers? Every single lead, I send them a welcome message to connect. My goal is to connect, qualify, and then know where I put them in my Hello Let's Go system. It could be something really simple. Hey, Susie, I'm so glad you, and then what was the action she took? Join my community, access the private podcast, registered for the webinar, like whatever it is, right? I specialize in helping women who you serve in order to, what's the transformation? Is that something you're working on? Is that something you'd like some resources on? Is that something like, it's just a very simple question. Sometimes I'm like, hey, tell me about your business. I help women who feel very called to business to scale their reach, revenue, and results. What is the business that God has called you to that you would like to see grow your impact? Like it's just something very, very simple, right? And then they're in a process of where I'm going to be connecting with them. So we want to make sure that we've got that back end. In fact, I had somebody come into my 12-month program just a couple months ago. I think she opted in originally from my private podcast, which is my main lead magnet. I sent her a voice text. She got it. She didn't respond. Again, totally fine. And literally, like a week and a half later, I hadn't even gotten back around because usually I have them in a cycle of like twice a month, so about every 2 weeks. She heard a podcast episode on my Redeem Her Time podcast that resonated. She then said, hey, I never responded to your voice message. Here's my answer to that. And I think I need what you offer. Right. And then she jumped into CEO Impact, all because I took the time to reach out and didn't just let her go to my email list to get buried or to, like kind of like me to forget about her. Okay, so this is why this is so key. If you're going to spend time and money doing these four things that we're about to start talking about right now, we want to make sure we have that stuff in place. Make sense? Any questions around that before I give you some of like what are some ways that you can start connecting with more people? Any questions around what we've talked about thus far? Okay, I'm not seeing anything in the chat, so I will go on. Okay, leads lever number one is ads. Yes, you can do list building ads on Meta, which is Facebook and Instagram. Here's the thing, it will cost you money, but list building ads that run to a lead magnet to get people in your email list, as long as you have this process in place that you're going to do something with them, are the lowest cost per lead. Right now, like average of $3 to $10 a lead, depending on what kind of business you have. Again, we don't get to set the price on that. But here's what I want to tell you. Even if you spend the lower limit, $3 a lead, it's not going to matter if you don't have this Hello to Let's Go system to take them to the next step, to get to know them, right? And kind of see how you can help them take to the next step. But it can be a great investment if you do have a strategy. You can do a lot of list building for $500 to $1,000 a month. Okay, so that is a way that you can start bringing in a whole lot of people. Okay, she fell out of there. Hang on just a second because Christy was welcoming people for me. So let me make sure that I get the people in that came out. Let me get Christy back. A second, you guys. Okay. There we go. Okay, Christy, now you're co-host again. So thank you. Okay. So yes, that can be a really good way to do it. It can be a power leveler as long as you've got this something you're going to do with them when they come in. Otherwise, you're wasting your time, your money, and your time. Okay. But maybe you're thinking right now, Lisa, I can't pay to play. Okay. Then do you have time you can invest? You all have that, right? What do you guys hear me say? You have time. So these next three are things that are not going to cost you anything but your time. Okay. These are ways that you can attract more of the right fit leads if you do them right. Okay. So lever number one was ads. Lever number two is sponsorships or swaps. One of the best scaling strategies is to get in front of other people's audiences, right? You literally borrow someone else's trust when they introduce you in their email or their newsletter or at their event, right? Or on their podcast, right? So here's the key though. You have to be looking for someone that already has an audience that is your right fit people. This is a mistake I see so many business owners make. We say yes at every opportunity. And it's not that, I mean, if it didn't cost you anything, then okay, all it cost you was time and maybe, but like, are you really paying attention to are the people that are going to be receiving on the receiving end of this actually my best fit clients? Are they the kind of people that are going to, want, need, and be able to afford what it is that I have to offer? If not, you just filled your pipeline with people who aren't qualified, who aren't in need of what you want, and that is going to cost you more time to figure all that out, right? So we need to make sure that we are partnering with the right people, right? So there are opportunities, especially with someone who has a really curated audience, like a very large audience, where you can pay to play, right? You can pay to be sponsored, a sponsor of an event, right? Many of us have been to events and there have been sponsors, right? You can pay to be a sponsor in their newsletter, right? And that is a great thing to do. But here's what I always say. Don't just say, let me know if you need something, right? Like we always want to lead them to a next step, lead them to an opt into a lead magnet and why they need it. Like, we want to make sure that we're bringing them over into our world where we can actually do something with them, where we can actually follow up with them. Okay. But the key is it has to be a right fit audience. So you can pay, right, to be seen in front of a really big audience, or you can get creative and find some swaps, right? How many of us, like I've got an audience, you have an audience, you talk to this kind of people, that's the kind of people that I talk to too. Like, what if like I share your stuff with my people and you share my stuff with your people, right? Like we always want to look for ways that we can make it a win-win where it is the right place. And here's the thing. If someone is already opening their email, right? They're likely then to read it and see your thing in there, right? And then be like, oh, I would love that. And then when your email is showing up, as long as you've done a good job of reminding them who you are, what you do, why they're getting it, right? Then, right, we're able to then start building a relationship with them, right? And you're able to do that, reach out with a welcome message and things like that, right? They know why you're showing up in their inbox. Because again, like I shared yesterday, sometimes I'm like, how did you end up in my inbox? I really don't remember this. But yeah, sometimes we even really want something and we still forget, right? Who that was or what we signed up for. Right. So doing some kind of like an email swap could be a really good way to do that if you are rightly aligned. Another like sponsorship swap idea is guesting on someone else's podcast, of course, with the right audience, right? There are opportunities you can pay for a spot or, for to be on somebody's podcast or to have a little clip on there or something like that. Or, right, if you have a podcast and somebody else does and you have a similar audience, right? Like you can do a swap. I do these all the time, right? If you don't have a podcast, it's okay because that's actually going to be, we talk about that in number four. Make sure that when you approach this podcast host, you make it a win for them in some way. You're going to share their episode out on all your channels. You're going to put it out in your newsletter, your email. You're going to leave them a review. You're going to introduce them to somebody else. Like, right? There's a whole process to podcast guesting. Guess what? You can create a schedule, a system, and a strategy around podcast guesting, right? Which is what I love to do with my CEOs is like, okay, what's the next thing we need to build? Once we've got, like a hello to let's go set up, now how can we start building some of the schedule system strategies for some of these things that are going to help us to scale a little bit faster? Okay. But again, we have to have all those things in place and we have to be partnering with people who are the right people, right? Otherwise, you can put your stuff out there and nobody's going to be paying attention. Nobody's going to be responding, right? And then we're wasting both of our time and money, which is why we need to have these things in place. Okay. I'd be curious. Have any of you done swaps with other people? And have you found that to be helpful? Drop in the chat and we'll have a set. Well, at the end of our session today, we're going to do a little bit of networking and collaborating. So you may have a podcast or you may want to be on someone else's podcast. So keep that in mind. I always say keep your radar up because here's where we'll be able to like have some conversations, right? And find people that could be great people to collaborate with. Even if you do something that's like more of a tangible thing, more of a product-based thing, or more of a service that, is a different type of service, how can you add value to the people that they're already talking to? Done podcast, mixed results. Okay. So what we have to look at, Mickey, is okay, were they the right fit audience? And then the next piece is going to be like, how do we have some of those memorable mic drop moments so that somebody's like, oh my goodness, what is that she was talking about, right? And they go to the show notes and click, right? We still don't have control over if people actually do something with what they hear, but I can't tell you the number of people who've come back to me and said, I heard you on so-and-so's podcast. I heard you on so-and-so's podcast. That's how I got into your world, right? So we can go back and start tweaking those and figuring out what that looks like. Yeah, I did grow my subscribers and I got some sales. I love it. I've done some podcast guesting and email swaps. And here's the one thing too, right? Like how many of us, it's like, oh, I did one. And it's like the I build it and they will come, right? Like, do you have a consistent rhythm for doing this? Is this part of your strategy? Is this part of your weekly, schedule? I have a podcast block in my weekly schedule where I am intentionally pitching so that I'm consistently getting out and getting seen. If you just have one and then it's months before you have another one, right? Same thing with like an email swap that some of you said that you were doing as well, right? Like, if there's a lot of time in between, because we don't have a schedule system and strategy to be networking with people who have those types of audiences or people that could help us get in front of other people. Maybe you have more of like an in-person type thing. So like Carrie, I'm thinking about you with doing hair, right? So maybe for you, it's not getting on a podcast, but maybe there's some local people that have, people in their world that could really benefit from what you do. So how can you come and, sponsor or do something at, something that they're doing or through what they're sending out in order to be able to get some visibility. So it's going to grow your subscribers. And then Jackie, what we're doing now, because again, it's great to have new subscribers come in your email list, right? But it's very easy for those new leads to just get lost in the shuffle if we aren't initiating this hello, let's go strategy. If you're not sending that welcome message, ideally within 24 to 48 hours of them coming in, so they're reminded again of why they're there and who you are and what they said they wanted, right? And we can start that relationship going. So hopefully you're seeing that maybe you've done these in the past and maybe it has brought in some people, but if it didn't really lead to anything, it's probably because you needed this follow-up system or you needed to dial in this follow-up system. Again, maybe it could be because of the people that you were working with, right? So here is where, like as business owners, this is a great use of time. And when you have scheduled systems and strategies in place, then this thing is getting consistent focus so that it's happening more often, and then you're seeing more results. Okay. Otherwise, we just feel like we're throwing spaghetti at the wall, right? And say, well, that didn't work. Well, that didn't work. Sometimes it's a consistency and frequency, and you're going to get better every time you do it, right? Every time you write an email that goes in somebody else's to their audience, every time you get on a podcast, you are continuing to refine what you're saying and what you're offering and things like that. So part of it is working on that. Okay. All right. So that was lever number 2. So lever number 1 was you can pay for ads. And that is a great strategy when you're ready for that. Okay. Number 2 is doing sponsorships or swaps. Lever number 3 is collab partners. Okay. And several of you actually mentioned this. I saw over in the chat, like you've partnered with people who are doing a summit or a bundle or a conference or some kind of event, right? That can be a great thing to do. A couple of years ago, I did a little mini conference with a friend of mine. It was a 2-day little thing that we did. We called it the If Only Conference, right? And it was great because what we do was aligned so well together. And the people that she was talking to needed what I had to offer, and the people that I was talking to needed what she had to offer. And so we came together and collaborated on that, right? And did that. Again, if you're going to collab with someone or be part of their thing, make sure it's a right fit audience. And here's the thing. Ideally, you want to have a way to get those registered emails. I always ask, But I know that sometimes the way that it's set up, in fact, often what I'm finding the way it's set up, it's only if people opt into what it was that you contributed. So make it really juicy so people will actually opt in and get on your list because now you can start connecting with them. Here's my only drawback to being a part of like a bundle or a summit or some bigger type thing like that, is that you are one of many, right? Like there may be like 10 people contributing. Sometimes there are 30 people contributing, and that's a good thing, right? Because it's going out to lots more people, but it's really easy to kind of get lost in the shuffle. So it's not a bad thing, but again, number one, make sure it has to be your right fit audience. And number two, like what can you do to be memorable? What can you do to like offer something that people are like, oh my goodness, I need to have this? What can you do to show up in that event Facebook group, to show up to the live panels, to connect with other contributors, right? I've made some great connections just with the other people who also contributed to a bundle or were part of the summit or things like that, right? So again, it's got to be the right fit event. And then what can I do to really maximize this opportunity? And then when people do come in, and this is something I was talking through with some of the CEOs when we were doing some co-working and working through this a couple weeks ago. Remind them, hey, I love the fact that you grabbed blah, 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 whatever your free thing is from the whatever summit it was. Like, remind them. And then they're like, oh, okay, yeah, now I remember. Yeah, I did want this, right? Okay. But again, we're going to pick up the ball and start that conversation. Another way to collaborate, I love this. I don't know how many, a lot of you have done some of these other things. And again, I want you thinking about, am I doing this with consistency and frequency and with the right people? And do I have the back end that's really going to, create the results on the other side? Here's something I've been doing recently is to partner with other people who offer some kind of product or service to offer something that you do that will add value to what they do. So, for example, I have been partnering with different coaches because guess what? Time is the biggest obstacle for their clients to getting results. So sometimes we insert like a pre-recorded training into their recorded program towards the beginning, because again, we want to fix this problem first. Sometimes I've done a live session to help their clients create a plan to get better results faster. Guess what happens? That person is now going to have their clients sticking around longer, telling their friends, leaving a review and recommendation, right? Like there are so many like ways that this is a win-win. It's a win for the person that I'm approaching saying, "Hey, I know that time is something that's affecting what your people getting your results. Here's a way that we can fix that for your people." Right? And it's a way for people to kind of like learn a little bit more about how I teach about time and they can come over into my world. So shameless plug, if any of you think that time could be an obstacle for the people you serve, reach out to me. Let's talk about a collab opportunity. I would love to do that, right? But I want you to think right now, who might be a product or a service provider or somebody in your community, whether it's online or in person, that you could offer some kind of support to, that you could offer something to add value for what they do that would also be a way for you to introduce you to some new people. It might take a little bit of thinking, and it's something I'm happy to think through. And I love kind of thinking through those kinds of collaboration partners and things like that with my CEOs. But who is somebody that you could be like, hey, you've got a program about this. I know that your people need this too. How do we come together? Or you're working with people to do this. So I know we had Sherry has been on here and she's been a realtor, right? So like they're all kinds of different people. Now she and I had this conversation this morning. So hopefully it's okay if I share this, Sherry, if you're still on. I can't see everybody's faces right now, but sometimes we have these partnerships that are very one-sided. Has anyone experienced that? Right? And you're like, I'm doing all the things, I'm referring, I'm putting people out there, right? Text prepare is a great idea, Danielle. Right? But it feels like it's very one-sided. So here's where we have to make sure that we are going into this relationship and it's not just like, okay, I'm just giving, giving, giving. Like, have a conversation around, like, how this can be a mutual thing, how this can be going back and forth, right? It's going to always come back to, am I connecting and collaborating with the right people or somebody who just, they're happy for me to just keep giving, 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 and then they never do. Okay, so we have to be really discerning about that. Okay. Purpose coaches, I love that. Christian business coaches, yes, targeting new coaches. Okay. So start thinking about, right? Yes, you can directly serve, clients or customers, but who are you people? I heard this described this way one time. Who do your people need before they come to you? Or who do your people need after they work with you, right? Like, and how can I start, doing things in those worlds so that that way I can, I can get some more visibility, make some, increase my impact, things like that. Sometimes when you're working with somebody, there's a way to collaborate. You become an affiliate for them, right? And where you get a percentage for everyone who signs up using your link. Again, always make sure that it's someone that you would recommend to somebody else. So don't just like sign up for affiliates because it's here's an opportunity to make $100. Make sure it is someone that you trust, that you know is going to help the people that are already in your world, that you know that they're actually going to show up and do the work and get them results. Okay. The key to all of these is that you don't just say yes to every opportunity that comes your way. I know it feels really good to be asked, but you will waste time, money, and energy if you just, say yes without really pausing to say, is this a right fit? Is this going to help me to connect with the right fit people? Okay. Is this going to add value? Right? Here's the value of networking, getting in the right room with people, which we're going to do here in just a minute. Part of my Hello to Let's Go list is collab and referral partners. And those people may eventually come into my program too. Like, I don't know, but right, I'm nurturing relationships with people who have audiences that also need what I offer, right? So that, like, as we're making deposits in our relationship, right? Now I may have an idea, they may have an idea, I may see something. So I've had people send me an email and I see what they're doing. I'm like, oh my goodness, have you thought about this and how this could help? Like it just keeping our radar up. But again, I've taken the time to build those relationships, right? I recently went to a conference where I intentionally talked to every single person in the room. Now, this is the one I told you was 25 people, but I even did this when I went to that 100-person one a year ago. I didn't talk to every single person, but I connected to as many people as I could. When I was at this conference last weekend, I also intentionally volunteered to share about what I do and why. I also brought a gift for everyone, and I volunteered to create a spreadsheet afterwards so that everybody could drop their contact info and links. And you better believe that all 25 of them are already in my Hello to Let's Go system with notes about who they are and what they do and what they told me about themselves or their business. And I will continue to develop those relationships. I was messaging with one right before we got on and asking her if she wanted to do a podcast swap because she just recently launched a podcast. Right? So like here is where like be the most valuable person in the room, not so that it's like I want people to come to me, but just because we're out there giving value. That will lead to collaborations, right? When you are building trust in that relationship and then when you offer something and you show how this can be a win-win, then people are like very likely to say yes to that. Okay. So how can you be in the right rooms, right? And be connecting with the people who are going to be able to do that, right? If you have more of a local business, how can you be showing up to some kind of a local organization? Maybe it's directly to the business you do, but maybe it's not. Maybe it's just something going on in your community. Maybe it is like a chamber of commerce, but maybe it's some kind of a way that people are giving back and things like that. Again, you're developing relationships so that you can always be keeping your radar up for potential opportunities. And look, it's already happening right here in the chat. I love it. I love it. We're going to do that in just a minute. Okay, lever number 4 is hosting your own podcast, YouTube channel, or blog. Now, unlike social media, these are long form content platforms where your content is searchable and it lives longer than 24 hours. Anyone get an amen to that, right? Where you can actually build an audience that chooses, like if your podcast is in my library, it's 100% up to me if I open it, not an algorithm, right? So that's our odds in our favor, but it is a longer game, which is why I'm not mentioning this one until number 4, because those other ones, I mean, except for the ads, that's going to take a little bit. And I actually have a program, like I don't teach how to do ads, but I can send you to somebody who has a really great program that can help you with that. But on those other ones, you could literally pull some of those levers today and start getting leads tomorrow, right? But if you are doing a podcast or a YouTube channel or a blog, it will take some time to create the roadie. Not saying it's not worth your time, but like a lot of times we want to jump into, oh, I have to have my own thing. If you don't already have a podcast or a YouTube channel or a blog, then I would say push pause on that and use some of these other ideas first to get in front of other people's, right? And again, you've got the Hello to Let's Go system in the background, so you know what you're doing with them, right? And then when you have the bandwidth, you can do this last one, right? And of course, like I love helping CEOs create the schedule systems and strategies around how to do these things and make sure that not only are they happening consistently, right? Because here's the thing. So one of my friends just celebrated 2 years of her podcast. And so I sent her a little, congratulations message. Most people only get to like the first, I don't think they get beyond, I think it's like the third or fourth episode. And they're already distracted and onto something else. right? So we want to be consistent with what we're doing, especially if it's something that's like a long form content like that. But it can be very revenue generating if you are willing to invest the time, right? Okay. And so most of what we've been talking about today was investing time, right? And having a plan around how am I making these connections? How am I intentionally getting in front of all the people's audiences? How am I sharing value, right? This is how we have to start thinking as CEOs. And this is how you can start bringing in. I mean, you could do one podcast interview. It takes you what, 30 minutes to record, maybe a little bit more, a little bit less, depending on the show, right? It could potentially bring in you 10, 20, 50, 100 more leads into your world as long as you have the back end stuff, right? That's the key is that we have to have the back end stuff in order to do that. Okay. And I know it can be a little scary sometimes to reach out, right? Or be like, who am I? Or why would someone want this? Every single person who's listening to this, you have value. Why? Because God called you to what you do, right? Because you do it in a way that nobody else does it. You talk about it in a way that is unique to you and unique to the people that you serve. So the enemy would love for us to play small and to hide and be like, I'm not big enough. I don't have enough, whatever, to start doing this. Just start. You're going to find as you go and as you do it more and more, it gets better and easier. And you're going to start, seeing the results of that. But again, even all of these things I'm talking about today, I mean, like every once in a while, I will send someone a cold pitch. And here's what I do. You want a little pro tip? I've sent some cold pitches to people, and I did a video. I use Loom, Loom. I created a quick little 2, 3 minute video about like how maybe I just listened to their podcast episode and something really resonated with me, and and talked about how I thought this would be of value to my people, and I would love here's how what I talk about relates to them. I had one gal tell me, she goes, I get pitches all the time, and I normally wouldn't even like look at it, but because it was a video, I watched it. And I heard your passion and your heart and your mission and your message. Yeah, use it that way, Simona. I also use it for welcome messages for people. Like, how fun is it if you get that little preview in your text and it's like somebody in it, like, I will title it like, Simona, I have a question for you. And so you're like, oh, this isn't like she didn't send this to everybody. Like, she actually made this for me. It takes like 2 minutes, you guys. So, when you're looking for collaboration opportunities, number one, start building relationships with people, right? Because so much happens with, networking and things like that. But then number two, right, just get personal. I get so many of those. Like I had one yesterday, a very scripted pitch. They even offered, quote unquote, to leave a review on my podcast. And I'm like reading the pitch and I go, it's obvious you haven't even listened to my podcast because this is nothing like what I even talk about. So don't be the person that just hides behind an email that feels really scripted. Like, how can you be more personal and make that connection and make an impression? It may be a no, right? There's somebody right now who's a bigger name person. I sent her something a couple weeks ago. I don't know if she got it or not. I don't know. She's actually shifted some things on her podcast. So I'm about to send her another one, right? Like, I don't know. It may be a while until she says yes. Who knows? But guess what? She's on my radar and I have her in my Hello to Let's Go flow so that every once in a while I'm reaching back out or commenting on something, leaving a review on hers, whatever it is, right? Building, putting deposits in there. Okay. Do you see the value of what we're talking about today? Right? Do you see the value of the personal connection, not just dependent on automations? Right? Do you see the value of like actually having a process in which we connect with people? And then do you see the value of like getting in the right rooms so that way we can grow our impact? I got a cold pitch from someone who offered to help me use AI to bring in leads, but they clearly knew nothing about my business and it was written with AI. Yes. And so permission to just go delete. And then sometimes they even come back around. Did you get my message? And then if they come back around, I'll be like, yes. And this is not a fit. No need to follow up, right? Like, but don't be that person, right? Be that person who's actually taking the time to get to know the people that you want to work with, right? And the people that you can add value to. And that's why having this process, if you don't already have this schedule system strategy around your leads and these potential collaboration partners and referral partners, this is where we need to start first, right? Because too many business owners are out chasing shiny objects, promising results, hoping to get lots of people coming in, right? But in the meantime, we've duct taped everything together from all over the internet and we wonder why it's not working. And we're spending lots of time doing all kinds of things, but we see little to no or plateaued roadie. We're stuck in that, same phase of business, right? I am here to help you build the framework, to help you have the schedule, the system, and the strategies that are timeless so that we talked about this yesterday, you know exactly what to do, when to do it, and how it's leading towards measurable growth, right? This is how now you can start scaling using some things we're talking about today, and it's going to be sustainable. So before we go into a little bit of networking here in just a minute to find some potential collaborators, I just want to share my screen with you guys. I was trying to set it up ahead of time and I couldn't figure it out in the time that I had. So you're going to see it's not going to be pretty, but that's okay. But just so that you can kind of see what CEO focus, the key three I've been talking about all week. I was like, maybe we need a visual, right? Here are the key three things that are going to help you to really start moving the needle, whether it's starting with this process or maybe you're ready for, you've already got this in place, it's dialed in. Maybe you're ready for like, okay, I want to start building this for a podcasting, guesting, strategy or collaboration type things and stuff like that. The first thing is the one thing focus, right? We are going to get like not 10 things you're working on at once. What's one main thing, one main goal or project that's going to move the needle? That doesn't mean you don't do anything else in your business, but this thing is getting my focused attention over the next 12 weeks. So we have to have a one thing focus. That's the first thing we do. The second thing we do is we create a growth map, a step-by-step roadmap to get you there. Over 12 weeks, right? Not 12 months. How many of us have set the 12-month goal, right? And here we are. It's October. Did you already hit it? Or are you still working on it? Most people are still working on it, right? Because we give ourselves too much time. So we go, okay, in 12 weeks, it may not be you get all the way to the finish line, but at least like, okay, where do I want to be in 12 weeks? And then how, like we have this process of actually growth mapping our way there, not just goal setting and hoping we get there. And then the last key is the support. And this is where the weekly accountability meetings, the WAMs, come in because you have this accountability and support to stay on track, right? You have this way to like, okay, yeah, I might fall off track. I might get distracted. I might, start chasing something, but I've got something to draw me back. And I've got people to remind me of what I said mattered and to bring me back to, that plan that I had worked on. Sometimes do we have to adapt the plan? Yes. Sometimes do we have to make adjustments? Yes, and that's okay, right? Because that's part of the process. But when we are not just on our own, then we don't have a ton of time that's going around without us. Okay. Now this is where it's not pretty. So let me see if I can shift this real fast. I'm gonna have to drag this. I had this set up before where I could just like hit a button and I went to the next one. I couldn't figure it out, but that's okay. Okay, and just so you know, like here are some of the bonuses that I've been talking about this week. If you join us today, I still have another of those one-on-one strategy sessions left, right? That's worth over $497 for you and I to sit down and really start mapping this out for you and getting it working for you, right? So if you already have the How Little Let's Go system completely dialed in, we can choose to spend that hour in a different way. Totally fine. But most of you, this is where you need to start. If you join us by Tuesday, October 28th, you get to be part of that 2-hour workshop where we are going to actually work together through the pieces of this to make sure that you know exactly what you're doing and when you're doing it, and you've got a plan and you're starting to see things happen. Okay. And then we're going to do some collaborating and networking here in just a minute. You get to be part of one of the extra bonuses I give to you is once a month, as long as you are in my world, you get to come to a collaboration networking event where we spend an entire hour just sharing and talking and making real connections. This is not a pitch fest. This is not a buy my stuff. This is not a, I just want to get on a coffee chat. Like you're actually going to have real conversations with people so that you know if you actually want to connect or collaborate with them. How would that be? Is that a good use of your time, right? Getting in the right room with the right people. So I just want to show you those things so that way you had some clarity around it. Again, Christy's been doing a good job of dropping that link in there. So if you want to go check out more information or grab a spot, especially grab the one-on-one strategy sessions before those are gone, that would be a great time to do it. And again, like I said, at the end, I will be happy to stay on and answer some questions if anybody has about how this could work for you. Okay, so what I want to do is give us a couple of minutes to actually do some collaborating. Okay, so here's what I want you to think about. I'll give you a minute to think about this first. And I know if you need to go, that's okay. We just kind of hit the hour mark. I set aside an hour and a half. But if you can't stay on, that's totally that's fine. We're going to go around with everyone who's still on live, right? And I'm going to give you an opportunity to share about who you are, what you do, who your best fit lead is. Because I want you to remember, your next client might be here in the room right now. Or maybe they're your next connector. Maybe they know people who, or they work with your best fit leads. Or maybe they're your next collaborator. There's somebody who is like, oh, wow, yes, I would love to do that. Like what we already saw going on in the chat just a minute ago. Okay, so who you are, what you do, who your best fit lead is, and I'm going to add one more thing. This actually came from my conference this weekend. So, Carrie, you got to do this with us this weekend. I pulled my journal out this morning. What is your conviction? What is it that you stand for in your business? Think about this is what gives others clarity about why you. Because chances are, right, I'm not the only time person out there. I'm not the only person who's helping people like, get more results in their business from the time they spend, right? This becomes your North Star of your brand messaging. And this is not like just like, oh, I believe in myself. Like this, when you have conviction about something, this is like your clarity around your calling, right? This is like you saying, I believe in the mission and the message that God has given me, which takes the spotlight off of us, right? And actually puts it on this purpose that we're called. So it could be as simple as I take a stand for, right? Or I'm convicted about, or I believe in, or I feel strongly about. Okay, so we're going to share is who you are, what you do, who your best fit lead is, and what is your conviction? What is something that you believe in, something you stand for, something that like really matters to you that relates to what you do and kind of why you do it. Does that make sense? When is the workshop, Mickey? We that workshop is next Tuesday, the 28th. It is from 10 to 12 is what I have blocked off. It will be recorded. So, if you're jumping into CEO Focus, it's an extra bonus. Don't let that be what keeps you from coming, but it is an extra something something that I would love for anybody who jumps into CEO Focus to be able to join us for, where we can really start doing something with what we've been talking about this week. So hopefully that answers your question. Okay, who you are, what you do, who your best fit lead is, what is your conviction? Okay, let me lead by example, and then I'm going to unpin myself so we can all see each other. You're not just looking at me. Okay, so I might say something like, "Hey, I'm Lissa Figgins, if you don't know me. I'm a scaling strategist. I help Christian women business owners make time their most valuable God-given asset so they can make a bigger impact through the work they do." And you know what I stand for? I stand for women being enough in a world that tells us we should always be doing more. Because I believe you are enough, not because of who you are, but because of whose you are. Now, might not be as long as that. That's okay. But who are you? What do you do? Who do you serve? And what's a stand or a belief or a conviction that you have? And what I'm going to encourage you to do, and this is like what I said, this is a live only bonus, right? So people are going to get to hear this. People on the replay are going to get to hear you, right? If you're sharing this in here. And then I want you to drop your contact information in the chat. Permission to do that. I know sometimes you're on meetings and it's like you're not allowed to do that. I give permission and direction to do that. And just so you guys know, inside the Redeeming Time community, let me unpin myself. You can talk about your business any day of the week. I'm so over Facebook groups that don't let you talk about your business. Or you get slapped on the hand if it's the wrong day of the week or the wrong time of day or whatever. Like, right? So permission and direction to come in there and do that. So, volunteers. Who wants to introduce themselves? And here's what I want you guys doing. Listen like a CEO. Okay? Listen for people that you can add value to. Connections. Oh, wow, we've got this in common. This is, something I want to circle back to. Make note of that. That's what a CEO is going to do. And then make sure that you've dropped your contact information in the chat and then send a message afterwards. Hey, I heard you share about this. I'm really passionate about this. Are you wearing your CEO sweatshirt, Danielle? I can see the top of it. I love it. Christ Empowered Operators. I do have a link to that. It's an Etsy link. It's inside the community. And we had an Etsy gal make them for us. So, all right. Who wants to go? And I won't make you. You don't have to if you're like, listen, this is way out of my comfort zone. First of all, just this is a safe place. But yeah, who wants to kick us off?
I'll go.
All right, Carrie, love it.
Okay. Remind me again. Okay,
Yep, who
so
you
my name's
are, what you
Carrie.
do, who your best fit
Yes.
client is, and what you take a stand for or believe in, or
Okay, my name's Carrie. I currently own a booth rental salon. I am a hairstylist behind the chair. My ideal client in the chair is I really like to help people have a very natural grow out for their color and also a haircut that can last them as long as they need before they have their next haircut. That could be a month or two from now, or 6 months, or a year, or maybe even like longer than that. I have a big focus on consultation and really figuring out what is going to be the best fit for their current like needs and their lifestyle and the desires that they have. And then bridging kind of a gap to this dream goal and like their current reality.
don't you guys
Um,
want her hair? I mean, look at that picture. It's so beautiful, right? Yeah, I love it. Sorry, did I cut you off?
Yes, no, and I do also really like helping. I like to do so much behind the chair. It's really hard for me to dial in a whole lot. I've been a stylist for almost 20 years, so I kind of feel like I've specialized in like so many areas
Mm.
that I just really can do a lot. But yeah, my niche kind of right now is a little bit more helping with women that are going into the adding like, or not adding, but they're graying, mature, having mature hair and figuring out how to make that less maintenance and not fully embracing it, but like how can we still be like coloring and maintaining our hair without needing this like root retouch every 3 or 4 weeks.
Yeah,
Um,
love it. Love it. And
I,
you're a local person, so tell us where your chair is because that matters. So
oh
be
yeah,
listening in case you
yeah.
know people there.
Yes, I live in Michigan. I'm near the lakeshore. I'm in Zeeland, which is near Holland, or like I say, the lakeshore of Grand Rapids. Grand Rapids is kind of more of a bigger city that people maybe know about a little bit more. Um, I have been considering, and I was talking to somebody this past weekend about doing like hair consultations and working with people like just like virtually and doing that kind of like anywhere and helping them maybe figure out the language that they need to use to work with their local hairstylist. Um, I think that can be a big or a big challenge for people. Just like their stylist is like, "What do we want to do today?" And clients are like, "I don't really like know," and they can get just
And then you
a
walk
little
out like
uncomfortable
not
with that.
happy. Yeah.
Yeah. And because I just think that I'm so strong in consultation and I've trained a lot of hairstylists over my years too. And consultation is such a struggle,
Mm.
even for like the experienced stylist. So
Yeah.
I think there is an area that
Okay,
stylists
how
could
many of
really
you would be
benefit.
interested in something like that? Even though you may not live in Zealand, I think you got some people I could use you, Carrie. I'm going back to
Yeah.
this next week, and I'm like, I still feel like we're not quite there. So I mean,
Yeah.
yeah,
And
for
I
that.
mean, even more specifically, like you have curly hair, and I think that's even more of a challenge in finding a stylist that truly knows how to work with curly hair or wavy hair. Like there's just like so many different components to that.
Yeah,
So yeah, I am kind of exploring like what that might look
yeah,
like as
I love it.
adding on for a
Okay,
service
well,
in the
keep us
future.
posted. Make sure you're
Yes.
in the community. Let us know when you're officially offering that. Or guess what? You got some guinea pigs right here. You want to test it out, see if there's a market for it? We're
Yeah.
here. Drop your
Yeah.
contact information in the chat. Okay, who wants to go next? All
I
right,
can.
Lindsay.
So I'm a high performance coach for female entrepreneurs to help them get their grit back and turn their mindset into their winning edge in life and business. And I'm kind of trying to remember your question, but I'm just
So,
really
like,
passionate
who's your best?
about,
What do you? Yeah, conviction, belief stand for like.
okay, yeah, yeah. So my conviction would probably be that I know, the Lord has put us here for a purpose. And so helping these female entrepreneurs actually live a fulfilling life and perform at a high level without the burnout is just such a strong conviction for me because they're so powerful. And just being able to use that to our full potential is really, really incredible. So, but yeah, it's been fun getting to be here. I enjoy doing podcast guesting, and thank you, Lisa, for all that you've talked about today.
Yeah, you're welcome. All right, make sure I think your contact info I saw drop in there. All right,
Thanks.
who else wants to share? All right, Lorian.
I'm Lorraine Adams, and I'm something of an entrepreneurial handywoman. I'm working with beginning entrepreneurs to help them decide what tech they want to use, get things set up, and learn what they need to know. And I'm passionate about passion and inspiration, but it doesn't go very far without um, methodical steps. So I name my business Methodical Muse because I want those two combined.
I love that. I've often wanted to ask you about that, like where that came from. So I'm so glad you shared that. And you guys, remember we talked yesterday? Don't you wish you had an owner's manual for business and like where to start or like how to simplify things? Like Lorian may be your girl. And think about this. Do you work with business owners who like are struggling with this? And if they could figure out this piece, then they could really get results with what you do, right? Here's where we start thinking about collaboration type opportunities or connections and things like that. So Love it. Love it. Good. Who else wants to go? Go ahead, Danielle.
I'm Danielle Fox. I'm with 4F Accounting Associates, and I work with business owners to help them create bookkeeping processes that reduce overwhelm and procrastination and help them direct the finances with intention, consistency, and kingdom impact. And my best lead would be, I guess, like lawyers who are helping companies set up their businesses, or tax preparers who don't have a bookkeeping side of their business, only prepare taxes. And then what my conviction is that when we truly begin to see ourselves as business stewards and not owners, then the bookkeeping just becomes a tool in the stewardship goals that we have. And those goals operate or drive everything else in our business instead of being an afterthought. So.
Love it. Love it. And just so you guys know, Danielle and I just recorded a podcast episode this morning. So she'll be coming out in the Redeemer Time podcast soon, sharing her story about working with me and also her passion to help people not just focus on the profit, but focus on the purpose with their generosity. So love it. Love it. Thanks for being here, Lindsay. She's probably already gone. All right. Who else wants to share? Make sure you save the chat. If you have to leave, make sure you save the chat so you can grab people's contact info.
Should I
Carol.
share?
Yes.
Excuse me, I'm just recovering from a cough and cold. I'm Carol Sampson, and I help midlife professional women who are going through the menopause or have got a long-term health condition, manage issues around brain fog, cognitive difficulties, etc., to help them supercharge their focus, their retention and recall, so that they can produce better results in their businesses or in their life, become more effective and have greater impact, and if in business, greater income. My ideal client is generally it's a professional woman going through these struggles, but in particular, my industry is healthcare, so healthcare workers and allied professionals as well, because they're people in very stressful um, sort of careers and professional paths, as it were. My passion is to help women become visible more so and confident in their abilities and not let things like brain fog get in the way, particularly in midlife where it's very easy to start to become invisible, start to feel, like you said, Lisa, less than, because your brain's not working as it should, you're not as articulate as you used to be, and you're concerned that you're not keeping up with all the bright things out there. So it's really to get women to move away from shame regarding the cognitive issues and brain fog, and more into a place of acceptance, but also improvement in those areas. Why I do this is I'm a midlife woman myself. I've I had and do have my own brain fog struggles. So I see you if this is your issue, and I like to think of myself as walking along that path with others. So I see myself as a navigation guide rather than an expert in this area. But my background is 30 years with people who've had brain injuries, and I've got long-term neurological conditions. So that's me.
All right. Well,
That's
thank
why.
you. Yes. Thank you so much for sharing. I love your heart and I love that you're on the journey, right? I think so often most of us are helping people with something that we needed help with at some point, and then we figured it
Yes.
out, or we created our own system or whatever around it, and now we're helping other people with it. So that's the beauty, is like, I get it. So good. All right. Who else wants to go?
I'll go.
Okay.
Um, I'm Christy. I am a systems strategist and a business coach. And I think, Lisa, you hit on this earlier. What I do is people that have duct taped their businesses together using this and using that, I help them create systems that actually work for their business and how their mind works. And so it's systems that they will utilize because it works for them.
Mm.
And I think my conviction is just that. I want to help people do what they do better by freeing up their headspace and helping their businesses workflow better.
Yeah, I love it. And I love it that you're doing making sure it works for them because it's not cookie cutter. It's not like everybody should have the exact same things going on, right? It's like what's unique to you and the way, like you said, you think, and then also the people you serve and what you do. So love it. Thanks for sharing. All right. Anyone
Hi,
else?
Well, I
Lisa.
can. Oh, go ahead.
You sure, Jackie? Go ahead.
Okay. So we both talk at the same time. So I I, I kind of want to piggyback on what Chrissy was talking about. I'm Jackie. I'm a CRM consultant. I always say CRM is customer relationship management. And I help Christian women business owners who've been in business about 3 to 5 years really get their systems organized and under control so they're not doing all those repetitive tasks manually, so they can manage their clients and serve them better and serve their families better. And my big conviction is systems are the backbone of the business, and most people avoid them because they're overwhelmed either by the tech or just by the idea. And I'm a former teacher, and I make it very less intimidating and very doable. And sometimes you just have to start. And so I really provide the backbone and the consulting to help them build a system that works for them that they can actually use. Because if you're paying for something and you're not using it, then why are you paying for it?
Exactly. Wasting time and money and stress because we feel the guilt of like, I'm not doing what I should with this. And yeah, love it. Thank you so much, Jackie, for sharing. Anyone else who hasn't gotten to go yet? Simone, I think you were about to.
Hi, Lisa. Thank you for this opportunity. My name is Simona McNeil, and I help Christian women, particularly those who struggle with pesky little mindset things like fear, doubt, and shame, overcome fear by using biblical wisdom. So we get deep into scripture and not just help you remember it, but help you be a doer of the word and like bury it in your heart so that you can see real change. My best fit client is someone who works a 9 to 5 and thinks that they have to settle for people pleasing and push their dreams and that burning desire for more that's in their heart to the side. When it comes to my conviction, I feel like some Christian women, not all, but some of us, and this was definitely my story, have had a great deal of experience allowing fear, doubt, and shame to push down what God has put in us. And I have become very vexed by that. And so that's led to this new conviction where God has just given me a testimony and a message to share to open everyone's eyes to the fact that you don't have to live that way anymore. You don't have to allow fear to steal your birthright. So
Mm.
thank you for letting me share.
Yeah, girl, that's a righteous anger, right? That's a good kind of thing that should vex us, and we're willing to take a stand and speak up about it. I love it. I love it. All right. Anyone else want to share? Wendy, you want to tell us about what you do? Would love for you to have an opportunity. If I can call you out. I'm going to give you an opportunity if you're here. Hold on a second. You're muted. Let me see if I don't know if I can unmute you. I can ask you to unmute.
Listen, she put in the chat all of her information and said that she's having issues with her tech, and
Okay.
so she isn't able to.
No worries. Well, thank you. Sorry about that. I'm just kind of watching people and missing that. Let me just scroll back here. Okay. My audio is broken all of a sudden. Got it. Okay. So, Wendy Wallace, owner of Blessed and Balanced Bookkeeping. I help women in business who feel stressed or confused about their finances steward their bookkeeping with clarity, integrity, and peace of mind. Best fit lead women in small business, financial services, or other service businesses are those who coach them. What I stand for is peace and joy is possible. Jesus is our Lord and Savior. Amen and amen. I love it. I love it, Wendy. Did you figure it out? Looks like you're unmuted. I don't know if you're able to talk or not. Oh, I don't know if we can hear you. Okay. All right. I was like, oh, I saw the microphone go off, maybe. Okay. All right. Was this valuable? Did you find some people you might want to connect with who might be great connectors or collaborators, or you're like, I need what you offer, right? Like, I hope so. Save the chat. So that's number one, right? This is my bonus to you for being here and hanging on with us until the top of the hour here. come over inside the Redeem for Time community where I give permission and direction. Nobody has yet abused this privilege so that you can come talk about what you do, what you offer, what's coming up next, who you're looking to connect with. Like we put questions, prompts in there once a week to get you talking about your business, but you also have permission to go in and just create a post all by yourself and say, "Hey, I'm doing this workshop next week. Hey, I'm looking to connect with, XYZ. Hey, I would love some feedback on this idea or this tagline or whatever, right? Like, come talk, right? Like, be active, be seen, be valuable, contribute, tell us what you do, contribute to others, right? Like, my goal is to help connect people. So, and for those of you coming to CEO Focus, we spend an entire hour doing something like what we just did in the last few minutes together. Our next one is November 4th, so coming up in just a couple of weeks. We're going to be doing that. So, I hope this is a valuable use of time for you. I hope we've shifted some things in your head so that you go, okay, number one, I do have leads. Number two, I'm not just going to depend on just the automation. Please hear me. I'm not saying you can't have any automations or any funnels or anything like that, but make sure you couple it with a schedule system and strategy that's going to take people from hello, which means you have to say hello first, right? And not just depend on them getting an email, to let's go if they're the right fit person and it's the right time for them to be able to step into whatever you have to offer, right? And then how you can pull these power levers, like we've talked about today, that can help you start scaling your reach, right? Start getting in front of more and more people because you've got this back end system that you're able to really connect with people and then support them. Okay. Our two things we're focusing on are what? Sales and service. That's where our time should be focused. And that's why this matters so much. So I'm happy to stay on if anyone has any questions, but I would love to, if anyone has an aha or something that's been of value to you today, let's open it up for that first. And then I understand if you need to hop off and head somewhere. Any ahas or revelations or just, hey, this was really helpful for me.
This was really helpful for me.
Oh, good. I'm glad. Anyway, can you tell me why?
There are several people here who I think I could work with, and I like networking and
Yeah.
learning about other people, even if it's not somebody I can work with. You never know.
You never know. You never know. You and I met in a networking event, Lorian, right? Like I love that. Like we met in Christie's, who was just here, and
Yep.
you never know who's going to be in the room when you show up and you add value and you're yourself. And yeah, love it, love it. So good, so good. All right. Well, thanks you guys for being here. Thanks for hanging out with me this week, whether you've been on the replays or on the lives. Like this just fills me up. I could, do this all day long because I know that this is making a difference and I know this is what so many people need. So if you have questions about CEO Focus, this is the 12-week way to come in and get this ball rolling, to start building momentum, to start really seeing measurable progress in your business. If you want to work longer together, I do have options that, extend up to 12 months and you don't ever have to leave my world if you find value. But yeah, this 12-week option is a great place to start and really just kind of helps us to go, let me focus in on something that I really need to get set up. And again, if you don't have this hello to let's go thing in place, this is your number one place because everything else you do is not going to get you where you want to be without this. So, all right, well, I will get the replays up for you. And I will be looking forward to hanging out with those of you who jump in next Tuesday for our workshop. And if there's anything else I can do in the meantime, you can find me in the community, or you probably have a chat thread somewhere from me because you're in my world, you're hearing from me. So just send me a message and we'll continue the conversation. All right, thanks you guys for being here. I'll look forward to seeing you soon.